Well, it sounds like you guys are having to do this all on your own. So how exactly do you go about booking your gigs and where you're going to play? Or, I mean, how does that work for you guys? Are you guys doing that yourself, or do you have somebody working for you doing that for you? Or is this something like, I guess in a way, a grassroots type of thing where you're just doing this all yourself, trying to get the band out there? I mean, what's the process?
We started working with a couple people. We'll see what happens with that. We just started working with an agency that has a couple of things in the works, but we haven't done anything with them yet. So we'll see how it goes. We worked with a management company for a little while, and what we found with that is there's a lot of good managers out there, but our personal experience has been if it's not somebody that can do a lot more than what you're doing on your own, then why give somebody 10% of everything you're making in order to do the same amount of work, you know? So right now we're doing everything ourselves, pretty much.
It's been actually Danny's been the guy who's spearheaded most of that and has spent a lot of sleepless nights putting up with all of that and dealing with that for us. So we're really grateful for the work that he's put in. I was fortunate to be able to get into a band where a guy knew how to do that kind of stuff. When you're sort of a self-contained band like we are, everybody, you find out what other little skills other than playing music all these people have, and how they can contribute to what you're doing, because you sort of do have to be self-contained these days, unless somebody at some record label decides that you're going to be the next Casia or whatever, and you are just handed fame and fortune. But if you're trying to do it from the bottom up, you kind of have to do everything yourself, at least from the beginning. It seems, anyway.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to make great songs and everything, and then you're doing all the stuff that's not really related to music. It's all behind the scenes stuff, and it is exhausting after a while, I can imagine.
Oh yeah. It absolutely gets tough, and especially if it's been a couple of weeks and for whatever reason you haven't had a gig or a rehearsal, and then all of a sudden it feels like you're just working, and you've got to remind yourself that you're doing this because you love it. And once you get into that rehearsal space and shut the door, and it's four dudes and a whole lot of loud guitars, eventually, it comes back. It comes back, and if you don't have that moment of pure bliss, where shivers go down your spine when you start making music with people, then do not play music. Do not try to get into this industry, because it will not be worth it if you don't do it because you absolutely love it.
Well, going into the studio, is that the way you guys approach writing the music? Do you guys go in with different bits and pieces and then just start jamming and see what comes together? Or is it something that you guys bring together? Because I know a lot of the bands in the 70s and in that classic area of hard rock would get together and just start jamming and come up with stuff here and there, and they would work off of each other to put the song together. How exactly is the process for you guys when you guys are in the studio?
And you name a way to write a song, and we've tried it. There's a lot of that where someone comes in with a riff and we just jam it out, and then there have been plenty of times when someone comes in with the skeleton of a song, and then everybody just kind of puts their tweaks on it. We're letting everybody get their say in, because we've got a lot of great musicians in this band, and so it's good to let everybody's opinion be heard. But there's not really one set formula. Like if I'm sitting at home and I write a song that I think is cool for this band, I'll bring it in. But if we're down at the space and someone plays a guitar riff and it just sounds cool, then we'll just jam it out and see what happens. And that's how the songs start. How the songs finish is basically an all-out brawl, mud wrestling, beer bottle throwing fight to whose ideas we're going to keep. But the cream rises to the top, as they say.
So and now I think we're writing more than we ever have, it seems like. Would you agree with that, Ryan?
Oh, yeah. It took us a while to figure out. It took us a good couple of years to figure out how to really write together.
And now you kind of have a system going down, so it's not as hard as it was before, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the influences that the band have? I hear a lot of different things in the music, but I figured I'd let you guys tell us.
Influences, you said?
Yeah, influences.
Well, that's kind of why it was a little bit difficult for us to figure out how to write together. We're all fans of rock. We all grew up listening to different kinds of rock, and but rock is such a broad term. I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of punk rock kind of stuff, like the Misfits and Sex Pistols, and Ramones, and that kind of stuff. I started getting more into like rock and roll when I got a little bit older. I know Ryan was more into like Aerosmith growing up, and It's more the 70s kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was a big classic rock junkie when I first started playing music, and then I just grew up, growing up in the 90s when that whole I really was growing up after grunge had even happened, and there was that late 90s alt rock explosion that happened. So that was sort of my high school years there. And so there's always some of that creeps in, because you always remember what you were listening to in high school. And then I started getting into a lot of blues, so I was never much of a punk rock guy, because my eyes weren't necessarily opened to it. So and everybody kind of pulls from their particular influences, and eventually you start to create a sound. As long as if you can respect the other dude's influence and what they're trying to do, you can incorporate it into what you're trying to do, and a really cool thing happens.
Excellent. And I guess
I'd say as a band, our influences as a band are probably more along the lines of like Aerosmith, even now, obviously all the classic stuff, like the Stones, that kind of stuff. But as far as newer stuff goes, I know we're all really into like the Black Keys and some country kind of stuff, and you're gonna be hearing a lot more of those kind of things in our songs as well as we progress.
Well, with the new addition of Domo on guitar, is he bringing something different to the band as far as a different sound, or what's going on there? Because I know you have a new track that's going to be released, I believe, sometime next week, hopefully, with him on guitar. So is he bringing a different element, or how's that working for the band right now?
He does bring a different element, but not so different as we might have thought in the first place. I've been watching Domo's band for a few years, and I'm friends with all the guys that he's played with, and I've always really liked his playing. But it wasn't until we actually got in a room with him and started jamming out that I realized how in tune with what I liked that he was. So it's actually anything that we've done has come really, really easily and really naturally so far. So that's actually really cool. We haven't done much writing with him yet, because it's a pretty recent development that we actually all got in the same room and started going. But I haven't been this excited about writing new material in a long time, because he's just such a phenomenal talent and shares the same headspace as I do in a lot of respects.
Our very first show that we played was actually with his last band, Run Devil Run, at the Viper Room.
Yeah, so we've crossed paths with him many times over the years.
So the transition's been an easy one then.
Oh yeah, very, very much so, very much so.
And another thing too, I know Justin's not here right now, but I've been reading he does his own line of bass guitars. What's up with Justin and the bass guitars?
Yeah, he's getting a signature bass released by Mud Guitars out of Arizona.
He fully designed it and everything.
Yeah, he made all the designs himself, and it should be out in the very, very near future. I think sometime in the next month or so. I've seen the designs for it. It's really killer. He could tell you a lot more about the specifics than I can, but all I know is that it looks awesome, and I can't wait to see it in person and catch it, see how it sounds. He's been working with Mud for a long time. They're a cool company. The gear that he's had from them before is pretty top-notch gear, so I'm excited about it.
That brings us to our last question. Spinal Tap moment for the band so far.
Oh man, you have a couple hours?
Well, a couple of minutes maybe.
Shoot, which one do we even start with? We've done the Spinal Tap thing. We played the Hard Rock on Hollywood Boulevard, and I did the same exact thing where it took us probably half an hour to figure out how to get into that place, because there's a load-in area where you go through the back. We ended up in the kitchen, and then all those buildings connect through hallways, and so we're in the middle of nowhere for a little while. We ended up in Northern California.
So you guys are walking through the kitchen with your instruments and stuff?
We've got so many of those moments. The van that we tour around in is just barely alive, and really taking that thing to Seattle and back. We did about a 14-hour drive from Seattle to Grants Pass, Oregon, to stay for the night, and we walk into this bar, and this was some pretty deliverance-looking stuff at first, a lot of big old trucker types. And we get in there. We've been in the car, basically left what we looked like after we played our last show in Seattle, walk in there, and someone comes up to us, big old boy, comes up to us, think, oh man, maybe there's going to be trouble, who knows what's going on, and of course just asks, hey, what band are y'all in? So we tell them, and about 5 minutes later, we look up, and there is our music video playing, and our song playing on the screen there at the bar. Fast forward about half an hour later, and that big old boy and me are singing a karaoke version of "Living on a Prayer." That was a pretty good Spinal Tap little moment there.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys go to the Sunset Strip Music Festival?
Well, that was the one thing I was going to ask you guys, because that was one reason why I asked you guys to come on the show was...
Yeah, we want to know when you're playing, actually. Sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, basically, if nobody knows out there, annually there's a big concert event that goes on at the Sunset Strip, and it's going on the week of August 16th to the 18th. It's called the Sunset Strip Music Festival 2012, and Love and 38 are going to be playing. So, guys, why don't you tell everybody out there where you'll be playing, what night you'll be playing, and how the fans out there can go ahead and get tickets to see you guys play.
So like you said, it's the 16th through the 18th. We're playing on the 18th, which is that Saturday, and that's the day where they completely shut off the Sunset Strip. So they set up 2 big outdoor stages, and then all the clubs are open, and it's pretty cool. You walk in and out of clubs. You can go see whatever bands you want. There's bands playing at all the venues all day long and on the street all day long. It goes till 2 a.m., and it starts at 1 p.m., and there's a ton of great bands. Maryland bands playing. Steve Aoki is playing. He's a pretty big DJ. If you're into DJ stuff, it's really cool. Zach Wilde's Black Label Society is playing. Bad Religion, The Offspring, and just a ton of others. We're playing the Roxy stage on that Saturday at 7:30 p.m.
Perfect time. Perfect time for old guy like me.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. I don't know if you guys went last year, but this year there's not one end-all, be-all band that's playing. There's a ton of great festival bands playing, and it's going to be crazy. They added the 98.7 stage. So there's another stage, actually one more stage than last year. Big beer garden, which is awesome, and it's just a lot of fun.
So it's kind of like a big party with great music. You just walk around the venue to venue, check out this band, check out that band. I mean, what more could you want, right?
Exactly, yeah. There's so much going on that it's mind-blowing. It takes a day to recover from it.
So how long of a set are you guys going to be playing that day?
Playing 40 minutes. 40. And if you want to get tickets, ssms.com is the place to go. That's the place to get tickets. It's TicketWeb.
All right, great. So we got a couple of more songs from Love and 38.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and close out the interview with your new track, which is, you guys want to tell us?
This one is All Mine, brand new single, just put it out a couple of weeks ago. It's just a good old-fashioned, old-school rock and roll song about a bad girl, so I hope you like it.
Yeah.
All right. 11 to 38 on the Hard Rockology show with Chris and Matt. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming on, and good luck with everything.
Thank you guys for having us.
All right. Thank you, guys, man. Good luck.